babies are out. There they are over there. Yeah, I'm going to feed you. I just wanted to have a quick talk about people that repeat, right? I'm just trying to get the best way of putting this out. But it's a story about the Christians and when they went on their witch hunt, right, everybody? I want to talk about that. And we hear a lot of bad things about them killing the wrong people. And now, you can imagine back in the day, and they're not as intelligent as what we are today, right? But you can imagine strange things happening. Like we talk about today, how witches go, there's good witches and there's bad witches, right? And so today we let that kind of thing go and stuff. We don't get into it. There's non-believers and all that kind of stuff. But you can imagine the same thing happening back then before the Christians went around and did what they did to solve a problem because they said it needed to be solved and there was something strange going on. You can imagine if it repeated. So let's imagine that whole scenario repeating today with technology and stuff. Like how we've played movies about witches come back now and they're like, oh shit, there's cars, oh we can do this and we can do that now. And they might even not believe now because they've got technology about the old ways and right? So you can imagine if they come back now and started fucking with people's minds and stealing kids and all sorts of the witches stuff that we got movies all about. I don't want to get into it about bad witches. But imagine if bad witches rocked up today. What would happen if people found out those strange things? Like people don't know why they're losing their memory. They don't know why they're stuttering. They don't know why these strange things keep on occurring. It doesn't make sense than the usual thing. And then they come up with it's witches and they find out that this person might be doing something and and they're getting evidence up for it because usually you'd need some sort of evidence. We don't know exactly what it was back then. We've got some stories, but it could be Chinese whispered along, or it could be fact. But it starts somewhere where someone starts talking about it, right? And when this happens, right, when you go against a certain way, everybody gets into trouble. It's like the government, right? The government's going, oh, these naughty people are doing this, so we've got to control them with this, so everyone's getting punished, right? And so you can't blame these groups like the Christians when they went around and did the witch thing. So I'd call this a vindication for them, right? That you can't blame them for the wrong that they did, because they probably did do some wrong doing that because of the actions that they had to face, the creatures, the witches. And they must have caught them because after all that incident, it went away. If it was true, right? Because I haven't got the 100%, oh, Frankie's here, 100% fact on that, right? Until I can study it, which maybe more in the future, because to study such things, like I've talked about in the clip before, you need money or people or whatever to get more into it. You couldn't do it all by yourself, and you couldn't explain to people the truth unless you can show it right in their face. It's like seeing alien ships and know they're flying around, but you can't get one to go show people. No one's seen one, right? No one will believe you they're there, but they're there, aren't they? Right? So imagine we found out that was true today. What would happen if we had witches and the government people and say, Prime Ministers are starting to say, and certain leaders going, well, I'm getting fucked up because of this weird thing that keeps happening. I don't know why it's happening. And then they start talking about spells and it's around, and we all start talking about what we try to make sense of, right? And then start attacking entities that could do such things. Like I talk about with spells today, if people were talking about spells and stuff, well, you start attacking the people who talk about spells and have been studying them and stuff like that, wouldn't you? And so once again, in today's society, if such thing happened, like it happened back then with some weird things happening, would we do the same thing? Would we get the right ones? Have we got the technology and the brains to hunt down the right ones before we string them up, burn them and punish them, and whatever we might do today, we might gas them instead if we wanted to kill them, if we thought they were doing such things or had proof of it? Or would we help them? Would we jail them? Would we have to gag them because they can speak with, what would happen today? Would we just go kill everybody involved with it? Would we freak out? Would we go, well, if they can do that, can we let good ones be able to do that? Would they do the right thing? Because in the end, when it comes to spells, and if they're all true and all that, which I won't put out 100% that they are, because I'm still checking it out and still trying to get my proof of it, but I do find things strange. But anyway, if you ever found out that magic was true, who could have the ability to, what is a good one? Would the government think the good ones are a threat, like Superman, how they treat Superman as a threat, like in one of his movies, because he doesn't want to listen to their orders. He just wants to be himself, which is quite fine, and he does himself and everything works out. He just doesn't like to be controlled. What would you think would happen? Would you think the good witches would have to work with such a government, and yet the government could be corrupted or different in a way that it's not the same as them, and make them do things that they don't agree to or don't want to because they just want it done because they know you can do it? What would happen? Would they suddenly say no, the good witches, and then the people want to kill them because they don't want to help them, like they did with Superman, because they've got such abilities, or don't want to teach them because these other people might use and abuse it? What would happen in such a predicament? It makes me think of things like that if it was true. But anyway, I think of things like that because we've talked about it and we've written it in history, and we still believe in such things that happened and went along in today in society and with Christians. And it's something I just like to talk about and discuss and have theories of things. Anyway, you can think I talk too much and my mind thinks too much, and I get told that from the people that know me a lot, and I do. And I do that a lot because I don't get answers, and if I don't get answers, I'll keep thinking and thinking until I get an answer, or I just give up on it and go, well, I'll leave it. I get to a point where I do that with a lot of things, and then I move on to another difficult thing. It's just as difficult sometimes. But anyway, have a good one, everyone, and I'm going to go feed the birdies some little bit more seed. There's some leftovers out there. And yeah, they're going to chill out. They chilled out anyway. I used to have a lot of pigeons doing what they're doing now. Not as many, of course, but up to 6, 7, stuff like that. And that's what pigeons do. And birds used to fly past these babies like this every now and then anyway, before I fed them. I only feeded them and started to feed them because I wanted to see them a little bit more often and help them out a bit. And there was times where they actually did need to be fed, and that's where I spent a little bit more money on food and sometimes. But that was my opinion and my thoughts and what I did to help out. But I also know all the rules about feeding animals and what it's not good, but that's like that with humans, with any animal. And you can feed and learn things by not feeding for a while and stuff like that. But sometimes you do, just like humans getting too used to money and certain used to ways, is that they might fall trap of the system and become reliant. And then if you ever do notice that, which if I do, then it's your responsibility to fix that problem as the people themselves. Like if you're feeding bears and then they come too reliant, well, it's up to the people to keep fixing the problem they created if they wanted them around because they were feeding them. It's a little loophole. It's better to work out the problem instead of just not doing it at all and putting a rule not to help out at all, because there's a lot of situations where there is times, and we've caused them, where animals might need some help from us. Anyway, bye-bye and see you later.